Two, one. I believe we're live, gentlemen.
Hey, welcome to the Hustle Condition. Shit. Welcome to the Hustle Condition. I'm Nick Berry. My co-host is Ken Starlin, and tonight on the show we've got Micah Horner. Excuse me, I'm turning my ringer off because we're not professionals at all.
Or prepared. It's okay.
No. Ken asked me about 15 minutes ago if I prepared any questions for Mike. I was like, fuck no, I didn't prepare any questions.
Oh my God.
I think everybody then. So, well, anyways, if you watched last week, you know what Hustle Condition is all about. If you didn't, go watch last week's episode because we don't need to recap it. Tonight we've got Micah Horner on. He runs a shop called Tell Meaningful Stories. Is that what it's called?
Close enough.
Yeah. So I wanted to have Micah on as one of our first guests, mainly because I think he epitomizes what hustle means for our generation. So,
I hope not.
Micah, why don't you introduce yourself? Dude, you hustle way more than I do.
Whatever.
So, give us a little backstory. Tell us about how you became into Tell Meaningful Stories.
All right. So, when I was about 10 years old, I discovered eBay.com. And you guys are familiar, about 15, actually closer to 20 years ago, eBay was this is kind of this new thing that not many people had figured out quite yet. And I was playing around with it, and I realized that instead of like mowing yards or doing a bunch of manual labor that I didn't want to do, I could just buy people's shit for a low price and flip it on eBay for a much higher price, and I could make money not doing much work. So
Those programs.
Yeah, I was about 10 years old when I started basically going around to like garage sales and thrift stores and buying just random stuff and then trying to sell it for as much as I could on eBay. And what it taught me was, a lot of things, obviously. You've got supply and demand, arbitrage, copywriting, customer service, all of the stuff that I was learning at a very young age. But the one thing that I learned that probably is the most valuable skill that I took from that was I was able to figure out that if you can attach a story to a product, you can actually increase its value in the customer's mind and therefore increase the amount of money they're willing to pay for it. And I actually read a study probably a year or two ago. They actually put this into an actual legitimate study where they took basically the same product, just random products, and they would list both of them, but for one of them they would include a backstory for like a teddy bear or whatever. For the other one, it wouldn't have any story behind it at all. And I think I'd have to go back, but it's some astronomical number, like 40 or 50% times the product with the backstory sold for 40 to 50 times higher than the product without the backstory. And that's something that I learned really, really early on. And that's kind of what I do now is I help companies basically, because most industries are commoditized now. You can buy basically any product from multiple different companies. And either you're going to price shop or you're going to go with a company that, sells you on emotional benefits, basically. So a lot of people, they think that customers buy based on just pure logic, which is bullshit. I think we all know that's bullshit, that people don't buy based purely on logic. They may justify purchases later with logic, but they buy primarily on emotion, right? Whether you're selling them a solution to a problem or whether you're selling them a cookie, which doesn't really solve a problem, if you can appeal to their emotions, then it makes the sale much easier. And so that's basically what I help companies with now.
Okay.
There's a lot more to the story. I dropped out of high school, filled out of 3 colleges, and I worked at Garmin and tried to do the corporate thing. And none of that ever worked. So I started actually with a cleaning company about 5 years ago. Didn't have any money. I just needed to make enough to replace my income and quit my job. So we started cleaning houses. Looks like we're getting video issues. Oh well.
Yeah, I know.
Think about here. Let's. There's just one person now. Hey Matt, are the video issues better, worse, different?
Matt, can you hear me? Might as well just keep going.
Yeah.
Go. Run with it.
Yeah, let's keep going. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, my story is I grew up without money, without connections in a small town in Kansas. So everything I've done, I've done like through the side door. I never took like the path you were supposed to take toward anything. Wasn't able to complete college. I wasn't even able to complete high school. Just how dumb I am. So yeah, I mean, I've just had to figure it out. And started with a cleaning company. Then I had a partner, and we started a virtual receptionist company for a couple years. And we bootstrapped that. We started with like $300 and grew it to, I don't know, 6 figures our first year very quickly. We didn't spend anything on marketing. We did it all ourselves through Facebook groups and a lot of the stuff that I see you do, Nick. So I think Nick and I think we met around that time when we were starting up Vicky Virtual. We met shortly before that, I believe. And I think we met in a Facebook group, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Groove Learning. Well, I think we hit Groove Learning and Reddit at the same time.
Yeah, we acquired, actually, it was almost a 50-50 split between Reddit and Facebook groups was where almost all of our initial clients came from, which everybody told me, you can't sell product on Reddit or you can't sell things on Reddit. I'm like, yeah, you can. You have to be careful about it. But it's a great traffic source. You do it right.
I love Reddit. I've been trying it more. I know Mike McCormick over at Insurance Soup. I think they're really trying to learn how insurance agents can utilize Reddit, especially local subreddits. I love Reddit mainly because you can put out high level content. They'll appreciate the content, and then you put a link inside that content, and the same people who are commenting and upvoting or downvoting your content will visit your website, and all of a sudden you just got a pixel fire, and you can retarget that same damn person on Facebook, even if they didn't fill out anything. That's why I think it's so important, and people just don't grasp it.
I caution people though with Reddit because Reddit is like the most anti-marketing place you can find online. And so if you go and approach Reddit the same way you would approach, most other marketing channels, they're going to eat you alive. They'll just devour you. And, you see it all the time. Companies try to basically go on and spam Reddit, and they just get roasted in the comments, and it's hilarious every time. The one thing Reddit is good for is, like, crowdsourced comedy, because the amount of brilliance and just the comment section is so hilarious on Reddit. It's high quality. It's way better than YouTube. I love it.
Oh, yeah, YouTube comments are just garbage.
Yeah, you gotta
be fun anymore.
So the way I tell people,
like the Reddit user or the Reddit commenter, they want you to produce good quality content. So it's like, hey, if you produce good stuff, we love you. But if you produce shit, we're going to tell you. Where YouTube, it's just straight trolls. It doesn't matter. It can be fire content. It can be shit content. If a troll's a troll's a troll's a troll, he's going to troll. Period. That's all there's to it.
And they're unstoppable on YouTube. But at least with Reddit, you have some sort of a filter with the upvote and downvote system. So it's like a true meritocracy. The good stuff is going to rise to the top, and usually the bad, well, in theory, the bad stuff will disappear. But you see a mix of stuff all the time. But yeah, with Reddit, it's everybody says provide value, and all that stuff. But with Reddit, it's so important to lead with value, And what I say to people, if they're considering using Reddit as a marketing platform, is you can't look at it as a marketing channel. You have to look at it as a community of human beings. And the only way you're going to be successful is if you join the community as a member of the community and provide value as a member of the community. When you do that, when you support the community will have your back. But if you come in as an outsider and just try to, leech on the community and take value from the community, they're going to drive you away. And they're going to roast your ass, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah,
I think I had
the forum issues that, like, if you pop up in a forum for Import Tuner or Oakley's or whatever it is, and you show up and you're just like, hey, I want to sell something, they'll eat you alive. But if you're there and people know you and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I've got something for sale, those people will actually sponsor you. Those people will be like, hey, this guy's a badass motherfucker, buy his shit.
Yeah, they want to support their fellow members, and the reason why people are so protective of their communities is because they put a lot into it. They really do care about the quality of the community, because if the community is high quality, then it benefits everybody equally, and that's why they fight so hard against spammers and low quality posts, because and if you get enough of that into a community, you'll destroy the community entirely. And so everybody's interest is in keeping the community basically free from spam. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of companies, it's almost like they don't even understand that what they're doing is spamming. But when you go into, it's so funny. Like, you would never do this if you went into any like in-person type of gathering of human beings. But for some reason, companies think it's okay to do this online, and then they're bewildered when they get a negative reaction. It's like, what did you expect? That's what I see. It's like, you're just dealing with human beings. Why do you expect them to act differently online?
Yeah, and Matt in the comments, he's talking about how it's similar with Imgur, which absolutely the people there are so much like Reddit. But one of the comments he's made is Micah's made an impact by showing that he's there to serve first. The first and foremost goal is that I'm here to serve the community. Which, I mean, it seems to be like, I think that's some of the aspects of Facebook groups. We've seen so many cancerous Facebook groups that might get a ton of members, but they're garbage because they're allowed to spam. There's no true content. It's just ad. If I just wanted to see ads, there's a Chrome filter for that. I can do that. Where you get into certain groups, there's a lot of quality groups out there that it's really, 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 really important that you have not just the admins giving quality, but the members are giving quality. And then what's funny is in some of those, you can get those relationships built that turn into clients based on what you do in the groups you're in and how you provide content.
Oh yeah, and that's everybody questions whether Reddit can be used successfully or whether Facebook groups can be used successfully. And when I tell them what we were able to accomplish with growing a company to 6 figures in a year without spending anything on marketing, they all want to know the secret, right? And so, everybody hates it when I tell them, because the secret is super simple. The way that we grew our business using Reddit and Facebook groups is I laid out every single step, completely transparent, of building the company that I built. So I didn't approach it with like fear or like, if I lay it all out there, somebody's going to steal my idea, because I knew nobody was going to outwork me. So when I put this all out, I even included links to the actual pre-launch emails that I wrote. Like, if you wanted to, I laid it all out so that you could completely duplicate the business, right? Like, you could read this post and you say, okay, I'm going to duplicate the business. Well, 2 people tried, and they both gave up within a couple months. Right? So the thing that everybody's afraid of, yes, it happened. Those 2 businesses, they quit. The founders quit. And the upside, which this is what I was focused on, the upside was not only did we have customers come through the door because of this, but then we had like this army of people that whenever we shared content would support us by sharing it out as well, right? Because at that point, I had given so much value to the community. They knew I was there to help them and to provide value to the community. So when I needed help, I could ask for a favor, and it was seen as, not spam or not me just trying to take from the group. It was seen as, basically your friend asking you for help, and you want to help your friends, right? And so that is the dynamic that you have to get to if you're going to use these online communities. And it just seems like businesses struggle just to realize that those human dynamics, they're universal, whether it's in person or online. And so you've got to apply the same mentality to both.
Right.
Well, I think your and I's first, one of our first,
I think we're losing Nick.
Cutting out seen thankably on Reddit and in prep. So the first time you and I interacted was you sent me a video about how I can make my business better. That was the first thing you ever did. You said, "Hey."
Oh, you're cutting out again.
And why? Son of a bitch.
Real quick, I love Matt's comment. He made a comment when we were talking about sell-first groups. And he said sell-first groups just feel like those god-awful networking events we all try to avoid in real life. And that's exactly it. If anybody's ever been to a chamber event and everybody's walking up to you with a stack full of business cards, "Hey, I'm Chuck. I sell credit repair. Hey, I'm Chuck. I sell credit repair. Hey, I'm Chuck. I sell credit repair." And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and it's what I tell, people hate me for saying this too, but what I tell people is if you want to succeed, with communities like this, or even online in general, the first thing you have to realize is that nobody cares about what you do. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about what you like. Nobody cares about what your business does or what your business likes. They only care about what's good for them. And just understanding that, it will change how you interact with groups like that. And I think what you were saying, Nick, was that because what I remember of our first interaction was I saw the Thinkably idea, and I loved it so much that I started sharing it and telling people about it and telling people about you and sending you business. And it was not something that I did as a tactic. It was just something that, I saw something that I liked. I wanted to help somebody out. And, people have helped me out in the past, so I wanted to do something to help somebody else out. It took very little time or effort for me to do. And it ended up, in this relationship that we've had for years and years and years where we've benefited each other over the years. And it was just something small of, leading with value first and not caring whether it came back, as any kind of ROI. That's the other thing people get caught up in is, how do I track the ROI of every action I take? Well, You just cripple yourself if you think that way. Ridiculous.
I think my favorite thing, actually I want to say it's a Gary V quote, but a bunch of guys say, "What's the ROI of social media?" or "What's the ROI of this?" He's like, "What's the ROI of your mom?" It's their actions of your everyday life that they're just worth doing. No matter what anybody says, they're just worth doing. And Matt Monch said, friends with benefits, which is it's there. There's things that are worth doing. There's friendships that are worth making for a bunch of reasons. For guys like Nick Berry, because I get to dig through his big old head, we get those benefits. But at the same time, when I get stuck in something, having those like-minded people that are all there to do those same things, I can shoot at that idea. It's like, guys, I think this makes sense. I think I'm onto something, but I'm being an idiot right now. Who can help me? And if you're in the right groups and you're participating and there's truly an active effort of growth, whether those people are clients or those people are just your friends, they're there to help you, and they're there with that information.
Yep, absolutely.
Am I still cutting out on you guys?
Good right now.
All right, good. Yeah, I mean, all three of us are in Entrepreneurs Roundtable. That's probably.
He's cutting out again.
After Micah's group.
I'm surprised they even have internet in Des Moines, Iowa.
I'm not in Des Moines. I'm in Newton.
Oh, okay. So that's
not even.
You're not even in Des Moines.
No.
You're good. Yeah, that Entrepreneurs Roundtable group is one of the best groups that really exemplifies the community aspect, the community dynamic, where it's not people just selling to each other. It's like you get a real sense that the people in there know each other and they're they're trying to help each other and support each other. And it's, what I've seen is it's hard to maintain that dynamic as the group grows because, the bigger the community, the less the people inside are going to know each other. And it's almost better to have a smaller community where it's more tight knit. And that group is a great example of that.
Right.
Yeah. The group has grown and then it contracts and then people just stop dropping in because we won't take any bullshit. You come in here dropping links and you've never interacted.
Yeah.
You're going to get your shit jumped.
Yeah, because that's the type of thing that ruins a group.
We're the Reddit of Facebook. It's okay.
Yeah. Without the neckbeards.
I don't think I get to say that.
You got some. Yeah, you got some on your face.
Too bad we have people from Iowa in the group, though.
I'm not from Iowa. I'm not.
I can't say anything. I'm an Okie, so I'm
from Michigan. So.
I'm originally from Kansas. If that makes it any better, Micah.
I'm sorry.
That's fair.
What part of Kansas?
So I went to school in Mays, Wichita area.
That's born and raised, dude. Small world. Yeah, I refer to Wichita as the world's most mediocre city.
Oh man, there's a bunch of people that will watch this that are from Wichita, and I hope they love that as much as I did. My mother will not though, so that's good.
True, man. Wichita is. I miss it. I love going back, but that is a place where people are born and never leave. It's one of those cities.
Yeah, and my favorite thing is go back and seeing friends and family. Every time I go back, and I get to see that it is growing some, whether it's new restaurants or it's new this, new that. Beer geek. There's new breweries up there. There's good brewers up there, which is weird. Shout out to Central Standard. You guys make good beer. It shocked me at first.
What is Nick doing?
Nick's hanging out with the cat. I love it. He's over here because he can't talk.
Wow.
And it freezes on the
cat. After. Fuck out of here. I looked up and the cat was sitting there up on one of the heat exchange boxes. Or splits.
That's some funny shit.
Yeah, Central Standard is amazing beer. That's top quality stuff. I was shocked when I drank it that knowing that it came from Wichita of all places. Surprising.
I'm gonna be honest. I talked trash for months about it before. I was like, no, they're getting brewed in Missouri or in like Denver or something, and it's just shipped to Wichita. Let's be honest, guys. And I got a buddy, Trey Cotton. If he watches this, shout out to Trey Cotton because he's the one that really got me to buy into the Central Standard, and I'm happy I have now. But yeah, I was like, there's no way that's coming out of Wichita. You guys are doing something, but Trey brought me around.
It's good stuff, man. That's crazy, man. Wichita, Kansas.
Mm-hmm. I'll be there Saturday, actually, but
I was there this past weekend. That's where my wife broke her leg.
Oh, damn! Where at?
Well, actually, my parents live in Derby now. That's where we were. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if I could imagine,
I was in Wichita last weekend. I dropped off my kids to my. I'm gonna go pick them up this weekend. So that drive south of Oklahoma City, that drive feels like it gets a little longer every week.
I hear you. If I could try to picture a place worse than Wichita, it would be Derby, Kansas.
Oh man, that's rough.
Somehow it's worse.
I'm not arguing.
I have no illusions.
That's funny stuff.
I'm back.
Oh my God!
I can't hear you.
Wow. No, Matt.
You can't hear me?
Did you guys see Matt's comment?
No.
Sorry, Matt. I fell off the comments and I just read them. That is Spectacular. Is this heaven? No, it's Ireland. That's accurate. Yeah, we went Tanya Harding on her. Man. Don't let your wife see this. She might start worrying about it.
No, I've been joking with her. Her dad was at the hospital, and he was giving me funny looks. He's like, "So, how'd she fall?" I was like, "What are you insinuating?" It was so funny. I'm still not sure if he was serious. Actually, he's hard to read.
That's the best.
It was bad. Yeah.
Serious, actually. Hey, we're kind of dead. What's going on? We're kind of silent.
I know. I think she ran into the door. I hope
about...
she didn't break her leg.
What was that?
Matt said she ran into the door.
Bad.
Terrible.
Oh, we're gonna get some damn domestic violence.
Yeah,
People
we do not
crying.
prove domestic violence. Let's talk about that real quick. It's not even funny.
No.
Even though he's maybe laughing or finger.
Yeah, I don't know which direction he is. Whatever.
Yeah, the camera's backwards, so we should use both hands. So just works better
one
that
of
way.
them. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Thanks,
So I'm
Matt,
going to
for
be your
that.
most boring guest ever.
Oh, I just lost him.
Where the hell did you go, Micah?
Oh, I'm sending him back in now. All right, Mikey, you're back. I don't know why it kicked you out.
Okay, cool. Hope it wasn't me.
No worries. Yeah, Mike, I do have some, just the easiest probably question you've ever been asked about it. You said corporate life wasn't for you, not your thing. You've got to be solo. So, but what is the hardest thing about being the entrepreneur that you are? What's the biggest difficulty you deal with?
It's a good question. At the beginning, of course, it was, it's all financial struggles at the beginning. I think that's common. I think one thing that everybody has to learn the hard way when they start out in business is how to not underprice themselves. I think everybody's desperate for customers in the beginning. And so they always, they're willing to do things at prices that they know they shouldn't, but they're so desperate for customers that they end up making huge compromises and taking way lower payment than they should. So, I think that's something that everybody learns over time. You have to, one of the biggest lessons is you have to sell based on the value you provide the customer, not like how much time it takes you, or not how much it costs you to provide the product or service, but in, how the customer is going to value it. And this is especially true for B2B. So what I do a lot now is like copywriting, product descriptions, things of that nature. And when I first start talking to a company, they want everybody wants to lowball you. And so what I say is, let's just calculate a figure over the next, 2-3 years. If this one page of your website makes you, let's say, $500 a month, calculate that over 2 or 3 years. How much is this one piece of copy or this one page that I'm going to rewrite? How much is it going to make you? So let's, with that in consideration, let's talk, my pricing now that we've framed it correctly, not, everybody wants to be like, how many hours is it going to take you, and what's your hourly rate or whatever. And I hate doing hourly anything, because, it basically disincentivizes you as a service provider from being efficient. Because the more efficient you are, the less money you're going to make. So you're actually getting punished for being efficient. And that's why I hate doing hourly stuff. So what I do a lot now is I ask them what their budget is. Like when we're talking, pricing and negotiating and stuff like that, I always ask them to lead with whatever their budget is, whatever that number is. and then we'll figure out what I can provide you within that budget. I never lead with a price, because when you lead with a price, you never know if you're lowballing or highballing, and so it's just a random guess. And a lot of companies, every company is going to be different in how they value your services. Like if it's a huge company, right, and you're going to make them, let's say you make them $1 million over 5 years, right? Well, you could be providing that same service to a smaller company, and it's going to be less valuable. Even though it's the same service, it's going to be less valuable to that company. They're not going to make as much money. Right. So you wouldn't be able to charge the same price, right? So I always ask them, what is your budget that you've allotted for this? And then I try to frame it in terms of how much this is going to make them over the long term. And
so I'm sitting here and I'm realizing that Nick used that exact tactic not too long ago trying to sell me something, which I find hysterical. Right. Shout out to Nick for using Micah's mind tricks on me. I appreciate it.
Jedi sales tricks, yeah. Yeah, and it's just, unfortunately I see, especially service providers, like anybody who's in the service industry, they do this so much because, again, they're desperate for sales. So they end up, trying to compete on price all the time, and they never even bring up the value part of the conversation with the customer. And when you do that, you're just going to get, you're going to get taken advantage of every time, every single time.
Yeah, we actually, so it's been a big conversation piece for me. And again, I'm going to quote somebody that I can't remember who, and it's, again, probably a Gary Vee quote. It's a little too much Gary Vee. Where it was something along the lines of, it's kind of your product just cheapens your value. If you have value, if the first price you gave or the second price you gave is where you're valuable, that you've almost got to stick to it. You're going to not get every client. There's some clients that aren't right for you or whatever the case might be. But if you hold on, and you have to be realistic about what your numbers are. You can't just be like, I'm worth $1 million and I'll wait till I find my $1 million client, because that's just not how it works. But, you can't be like, well, I'm $500, for this project. And somebody goes, well, I always think it's worth $100, and go, okay, I'll do it. And they just look at you and go, well, I don't want $500. I want $500 quality for $100. You're just jumping at $100. Then they start to question quality, start to question the product, start to question the delivery, all of those aspects.
And it shows that you're a pushover and that you're weak. And when you show that to a client, they're going to take advantage of you forever at that point, because they know you're an easy pushover. They're never going to pay full price. They're never going to value what you do, and that's another one of those vicious cycles that people get in, and it's impossible to grow. If you're doing stuff like that and you're undervaluing yourself with clients like that, you're never, ever going to grow, ever. Yeah, and that's, I hate talking price. It's just, I'm not a natural salesman. Unlike Nick, who, he loves that shit. I hate doing that stuff. So it was really, really beneficial for me when I learned that you can just ask the client what their budget is and make them give you a number, rather than you saying, okay, well, if you want this, here's the price for that, right? Because I hate doing that. And so if you do it the other way, where you reverse it and ask them what their budget is, then you never have to give them a price, really. You just say, okay, if your budget is that, here's what I'm willing to do within that, right? And you can negotiate from that point, but you'll never undervalue yourself.
Right, and it opens you up a door for a bump still. There's all kinds of people that are like, I want to do this, but if you want this service, it's going to cost you more. And when you're like, hey, what's your budget? Okay, great, I'll do this for your budget. Well, we want this. Okay, well, this costs this.
Yep.
And so there's real aspects that are everyday life, and it's one of those things. I almost wish we taught, almost a how to buy things class in high schools, because there's so many people that are like, well, I want this quality for this price. Well, that doesn't work out. That's not how life works. You have to understand what your budget is, and then understand what's in your budget. You want more, you pay more. That's the way the world of services and products and value and all that stuff work.
Yeah, and with B2B, another thing that I learned that helped me a lot is framing it in their mind by getting them to think about what a customer is worth to them. So, like, if I sell marketing and copywriting and stuff. So when I'm sitting down with a client, what I ask them is, have you calculated what the lifetime value of an average customer is, right? And that means how much money are you going to make off one customer over their entire lifetime of buying with you, right? So instead of thinking about one transaction, because I have clients where, they're thinking in terms of the first transaction. So when they think, okay, well, if you bring me a new client, it's only going to be worth $500, right? So what I try to get them to think about is, okay, but are they going to come back next year and buy the same thing? And then how many times over their lifetime are they going to keep doing that, right? So if you pay me, X amount of money to get you one client, how much am I actually making you, And thinking in terms of lifetime value is very important. And I almost filter clients that way, because if they sell a really, really cheap product and they're trying to sell it to one person at a time, then it's going to, retail or, consumer goods and stuff like that. A lot of those companies, they're not going to work out for me, because to sell the amount of product, it's just going to cost too much, right? So I go after clients who, especially service industry and service businesses, where a client is going to come back to them every single month and spend like $100 or more every single month. Well, all of a sudden, every customer I bring in for them is worth $1,200 a year, rather than $5 a transaction, right?
Right.
So those are how I target, potential clients now.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of, it makes me think of the Netflix model almost of hey, here's your membership. You're going to watch all the videos you want. It might cost us a bunch, but you're going to pay me that $8 every single month. So now, and I think that once you get in, as long as my content's good, you're never going to go away. So I'm going to say it's the $8 value of a customer for 3 years. And now we see what it's truly like compared to the guy who's like, hey, here's that $8 DVD. Here you go. Have a great day.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's hard to, even stuff like, local retail businesses, when they balk at prices sometimes, and it's like, the reason why you can't spend the money you should be spending is because you're selling to one person at a time, and you're only selling them a $10 product here or there. And that's a hard business to be in, It's just the nature of that kind of business. So, yeah, my services are probably not going to work out for that kind of person.
Well, look at how long it took Amazon to turn $1 selling books.
Yeah.
And that's all. I mean, for how many years all they sold was books until they expanded out their product line? Did they really? I mean, Jeff Bezos even said Amazon will never turn a profit. His goal is to spend every dime to expand, keep always expanding his business.
Right.
Amazon couldn't make it selling one damn thing. They had to grow themselves to sell other things to keep people coming back.
Well, now they sell a membership. I mean, Amazon Prime is a membership.
Yeah.
Even Amazon
realized. If you want to pay $100.
Yeah, even Amazon
$100.
retail, and Costco is the same way. Sam's Club is the same way. All these companies realize that even if you're selling retail products, if you can get people on a subscription model of some kind, that is a sweet spot to be in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I always used to love the story of Proactive, the acne company, because they would say that first box, they lost like $15 when they sent that first box. But you signed up for a subscription, and the chances of you canceling were 30%. Well, I mean, 70% of those clients stayed on and bought boxes at full price. And guess what? That's where they started making their money. And with the wireless company, it was the same thing with discounts on contracts on phones. Everything was about the longevity of the customer. The value of the customer was not in that one interaction, it's in the series of interactions that come from it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I've had so many people say, why don't you do wedding events for Sendlet? I don't want a onesie customer.
Right.
It takes me so long just to train one customer. I have no desire to repeat that over and over and over with pain in the ass customers on top of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just the nature of business. You can't serve every client. You can't make everybody happy. And you have to realize that there's a lot of customers, and even a lot of like groupings of customers that will never be profitable. They'll kill your business. And that's for a lot, when you're starting out in business, that can be something that's counterintuitive, that it doesn't seem like somebody buying from you would harm your business. But if they're taking, so much time from you that the money they spend is outweighing it, then them buying from you is actually like going to destroy your business. So you have to be careful.
Either destroy your business or destroy you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or crush your soul.
Crazy. Yep.
And I think we all know, we've all had that one customer that gets us or rang early or whatever the case is. And we've all also had those clients that, that you're just like, the day you fire, and I hate talking about it because like firing a client is like not a awesome feeling at first. And then you fire that client and you can breathe for a second. You're like, hey, I should have done this a week ago. We didn't even have that client a week ago, but you still should have done it a week ago.
Especially when you replace that client with a profitable client, you're like, oh my God, why did I put up with that person for so long? Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, that's another big one when you're starting out. Do you guys, are you kind of trying to target this toward people who are thinking about going into business or starting out already?
I think it's a little bit of a both. I mean, so there's some aspect of this. I think we want it to be a resource for people that just want to do more than what they're doing. The guys that are the entrepreneur that's standing on the edge. I also think that we want this to be for the guys who are doing it and maybe not doing it very efficiently. Maybe they're reading too many memes about working all the time. And everything in their life is about how many hours they put into something and not the value and quality of those hours. I think there's an aspect to that guy too, because that was a big one. When we came off air last week, I actually had a few people reach out to me and they were super pumped and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch every episode because I'm doing this with this little side hustle I have. But I feel like it takes so much time for the reward I'm getting out of it. And it's such a funny thing because it's all about time management. If you don't have a wife and a kids and you think it's cool to just hang out at work all the time, that's fine. That's your thing. But if you've got like a life and you want to live it, like there's a big aspect about power management, time management, the energy you put into it. If you work from 7 to 4, which that's my day schedule, it needs to be intense. You need to be working from the moment you get there to the moment you go home. But if you want to work from 11 to midnight, yeah, take a 2-hour lunch, take a 3-hour lunch, do your meandering because you've got this focus on time and not effort, and you're not going to get those results turned out. You are going to be burying yourself into a project that you just never seem to get out of.
Yep, absolutely.
I want people to appreciate that they're not the only ones going through the bullshit struggles of having a family, of having a kid, of having kids, or having a relationship, and having a day job and trying to do something else. And appreciate that they're not the only ones out there.
Yeah. And when there's a big aspect of the not being the only ones out there, I think is where Nick and I clicked. When Nick and I met, is we were talking about a bunch of stuff, and there was so much stuff we could see eye to eye on. It's like, oh wait, there's other people that understand what I'm going through. There's other people that have gone through this. And my favorite is guys like you that are, you've gone through some of those struggles to get to a success point, and you're like, yeah, I went through that. I made that same mistake. I've done the stupid things, but hard work pays off. It's that long game. It's that long run that everybody's always so focused on forgetting. Just because I gotta quote him 3 times in a night. We always talk about patience, and nobody wants to have patience anymore.
Yeah, and I'll say something that's even a little bit more counterintuitive to that. So everybody says, focus on the positive, right? Like always have a positive outlook and be looking to the goal. I actually take a different approach. I encourage people, if they're at a job that they hate, to fully embrace the misery, fully embrace how much you hate that job, because when you can harness that, I mean, for me, when I was starting out, the amount of misery and the amount of hatred I had for what I did just the boredom and the just literal mental torture I felt every day going to this job, realizing that I was not going to be able to do this, like that was very motivating. Like so there's this like the pain and pleasure principle, which states that human beings do everything to either avoid pain or pursue pleasure. So for me, that's how I looked at it. I was trying to avoid pain. I was trying to get away from this pain, and that's what I was like totally focused on. Once I was away from the pain, then I could start focusing on, long-term goals and stuff like that. But in that crucial period, if your goal is to quit your job and move into this full time, then what I say goes against what most people say. I actually encourage people to just embrace how much you hate it and let it make you miserable, because that is what is going to get your ass to go to work, work from, Gary Vee, he says 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Your 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., that is the time. If you have a full-time job, that period of time is when you can make it happen. But you're not going to make it happen if you're comfortable. You're not going to make it happen if you're happy. If you're cool with the job you have, you are screwed. You will always fail, because the guy who hates his job and is desperate to get out of it is always going to outwork you every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that was a big part of my success with Bankably. I hated my job. I was in a miserable relationship. And I wanted something to – I needed something to fucking do so I didn't lose my shit.
Yes. Focus on that pain. Focus on that.
I got a girlfriend that I adore.
Uh-oh.
I want to escape her.
The comfort has set in. You are screwed, Nick.
The comfort of a relationship. Yep.
Yeah, that's true, man. It is so true. I mean, I love that. I think I can't remember who it was or what battle it was, but this the commander of this army, when they would land and invade a new country or whatever, he would light the boats on fire, and they had no way to retreat. So the only way, and like I almost think that maybe toward the end of working in that job, I was subconsciously sabotaging my own success in the job just so I had nothing to turn back to. Like if I got fired, then I had to do this, right? And I definitely slacked off toward the end. I was like, if I get fired, is it going to be the worst thing in the world? Because it might just be the best thing for me.
Yeah, I have done that before. I even actually went back and apologized after the fact, because it was me. I did not leave on good terms. I burnt that bridge down to light the way ahead of me. But I was like, it wasn't anything personal. I just had to make sure I couldn't come back. And they were like, oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I just left that situation.
Yeah, it's not something I recommend to everybody, but it works. It definitely works.
I can't ever go back to that last one.
Yeah.
I also say that the other thing that people struggle with when they first start their own side business, or even when they go full time, especially when they're trying to scale whatever that business is they don't know how to delegate, and usually they're control freaks and they're used to doing it all themselves. And they want everything done perfect, right? And I totally understand that, because you put so much time and energy into this thing, right? It's your baby. You want it to be taken care of correctly. So the quote, it's in a book called Starting Up. And the guy who wrote it, his name is Vern Hirsch. And the quote, my favorite quote, it's one of my favorite business quotes of all time. He said that a business is as weak as it, let me see if I can get this right. A business is as weak, I'm going to have to look it up. Something to the effect of, your business is weak when it depends on the person at the top. And your business is only going to be strong the less it depends on one person, right? When you diffuse the responsibilities out over a lot of different people who are strong in different areas, that's when your business is truly strong. But if it, in the beginning, especially when it's dependent on you at the top, especially entirely, your business is super weak. It's super vulnerable. It's only as strong as you are, and everybody has a lot of weaknesses. You're only going to be strong in a few areas. So you have to outsource as much as you can. And I think the other thing he said in that book is you should outsource absolutely everything that somebody else can do. And the only thing you should do as a business owner are the things that only you can do. If somebody else can do it, they should do it, right? And so your responsibilities within the business should be very, very, very narrow. And it's only the things that nobody else can do. Because if somebody else can do it, they should be.
So as being the guy you're talking about, essentially, because I'm the king control freak, I want to do everything. And the busier I get, the less I feel like I can accomplish. And I'm like, oh, we're trying to do too much. We're overwhelmed. Yet then, you've got staff and you're like, you can do this.
Yep.
I really need to let you do this. I had a little bit of that epiphany earlier today. But yeah, it's one of those things that you've got to learn to let go of those things. And I kind of love that saying that if anybody else can do it, they should be doing it.
Absolutely.
You should only be doing the things that only you can do.
Yep.
So that kind of makes that you hit me in the head. I hope that hits somebody out there in the head too. Yeah,
and the thing about it is like I see so many businesses where they super underestimate their own staff. Like they give their staff a very narrow, realm of responsibility. And if they would just realize that person is so much more capable than even maybe both of them think that person is, and if you just challenge that person a little bit,
right,
9 times out of 10, that person's going to step up to the plate. And if they don't, they probably shouldn't be there anyways.
Yeah.
And people like that. When I was an employee, my favorite thing was when I was given more autonomy and more responsibility and more trust. Like the more that the managers above me or, whatever above me, the more that they trusted that I was able and confident to do something, that was very motivating as an employee. And I try to do that, now and in my past businesses, try to show your employees that, it's almost a compliment to say to them, I believe you're competent enough. I believe you're good enough. I believe you have the ability to do this. Now do it. And, people will shock you a lot of times with what they're capable of doing if you just let them. They'll also make big mistakes, but you will survive. You will survive.
Well, here's the thing about employees making mistakes. They'll never make that huge mistake again. And how much is that big mistake really going to cost the company in the long term? As long as it's fixable, as long as it's something they can fix, or your company can fix, is it really worth impacting that employee's livelihood?
Right. We have a big talk because there's random things that we do that can get fined. You got to be really mindful of your words. I got an employee that for a good amount of time we were like, hey, just do it. But don't actually like Facebook ads, right? Don't just do it all, and then pull me in at the end and say, "This is what I did." Then I can look at the summary and go, "Okay, yes, you're good to go. Great, everything's there. Disclaimers in the comments, all of that stuff's on fire. Great, go." Compared to it's because there is a little bit of that training, the slow step aspect. But it comes down to communication. They have to be able to feel comfortable enough to come to you and say, "Hey, I need help with this," because if they're afraid to ask for help, we've got bigger problems than that.
Yeah, and with delegation, it's not just communication, it's also documenting processes. I mean, the amount of time and headaches you can save in your company, just having documented processes that people can follow that are step by step. I mean, my last startup, it was just my partner and I. We had no manager, we had no supervisors. We had to do everything. And if it wasn't for the documented processes that we had, we would have spent all day, every day, just answering, employees' questions. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And so instead, we had a centralized place where they knew exactly where the answers were. And they knew to go to that place instead of come to us because it was going to answer 90% of their questions. And so we spent a lot of time. It is a big time investment in the beginning to document everything. But the amount of money it saves you in the long term is is just ridiculous. And video documentation is even quicker to do. There's a tool, it's called Viewed It. I don't know, there's a bunch of different alternatives. But what we started doing, instead of writing everything out, we would actually do video tutorials where we would just perform the process, right, and record the whole thing, and you could knock it out in 5 minutes instead of like 20 or 30, and just have a video that they can view.
So we've talked about that recently because obviously GoPro body camera, I can put it right here in my chest, and if I put it on my chest, you can see it almost from my angle of like the how-to. We love B-roll of hand movements, rags, changing oil, whatever the case is. We love that kind of B-roll on the videos we do now. So might as well strap that baby on my chest and get to see that first-person experience. Because here's the deal: that everybody learns differently. We all talk about it, and I'm a quick learner. If I can learn my way, well, my way is all three. I want to see it, I want to write it down, I want to read it, and I want to hear it. If I can do all of those, I can know it really, really quick. But if you're just going to write it out for me,
yeah,
I'm going to forget.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when we were starting out, we couldn't afford to waste a lot of time training people. Even like the new employees we hired, it was like, as fast as we can get these people going, the less we're going to have to waste in just paying them to learn, basically. So if we can make that process of training, and learning how to perform the job as quick as possible, it's going to streamline everything for us. And when we had a new employee come on, they would watch the videos, and we had just step-by-step processes, and it got to the point where the amount of time we had to actually teach them was almost zero. We just plugged them into whatever the process was, and anytime they needed to refer back to it, they always knew exactly where to go. So we didn't have to waste time in the future answering the same questions over and over and over. And it's just so crucial. And it shocks me how many businesses just don't take the time to document their processes. I don't understand it. It's crazy. We wouldn't have survived without it.
Why so many people don't want to document what they do.
Yeah, because it's almost like, even if you're the owner of the business,
you think you're special.
If you start hashing your responsibilities at the people, you almost feel like, well, what am I good for then at that point? Like, and you're right, it's the ego thing that comes in. It's like, I want to be the person that, everything relies on, right? And you have to let all of that stuff go. You're going to handicap the business if you don't.
Yeah, and you create a bottleneck that just makes it impossible for people to get their shit done.
Yep.
Either your employees or your customers. If you're impacting those two things, it's game over. It's eventually just going to be game over.
And that's the kind of thing that makes people hate the businesses they start too, because they feel like at that point, if everybody has to come to you and you're on call all the time, that's no better than having a job. You might as well just go back and work a job at that point. That's what people, when you see business owners that hate the business that they started, it's almost always due to that. It's because they have made the business rely so much on them that they feel shackled to the business, like they're imprisoned to the business. They can never leave. They can never take a break. They can never breathe. They can never go on a vacation. And you're going to hate what you do if that's the situation that you bring yourself to. So it's, avoiding pain and pursuing pleasure. If you want to go on vacation, you're going to have to make sure your business runs without you completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right, I got a question. What's your biggest failure in business? What was your biggest failure?
My biggest failure in business. There's two things that I can say to this. The first one is for way too long letting fear, especially fear of fear of failure. Fear of success is another one though, but fear of failure, letting that hold me back for way too long. I mean, that's very common, I think. I would be so much more, further along in this if I had just taken action sooner on a lot of things. but I just got paralyzed. That and overthinking things, being a perfectionist, all of that stuff, I do struggle with, and it's taken a long time to get over, especially the overthinking and the perfectionism. That kills businesses. Like, that will stop a business in its tracks. If the founder or the owner is constantly overthinking and not taking action, like we talked about mistakes earlier, there's almost no mistake you can make that you can't fix later on. So you might as well take action, break things, move quickly. And that's something that I used to be very, very opposed to, that kind of thinking. But I realize over time, that's the only way to be successful. If you're overthinking everything, you're trying to make things perfect, then you'll never end up doing the things you need to do. So that's one side of this. The other thing I would say is this kind of sounds ridiculous, but not believing enough in myself that I could do it, and thinking that I needed to rely on partners or rely on other people. And that's gotten me into bad situations, is getting into partnerships that I should never have been in because I thought I needed that person. That's I left my last startup because of that exact reason. I thought I needed a partner, and it ended up not being the partner I needed. It just didn't work out, and I realized all of those fears and like the insecurities and things. And that's what led me to get a partner in the first place. And if I had just believed in myself more, I could have avoided all that stuff.
Fair enough.
Love it. Yep. Well, guys, Micah, why don't you tell everyone?
I think we lost your audio again, Nick.
You there, Nick?
Son of a bitch. Yeah, I'm here.
You keep cutting out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
In this moment, yes.
Okay. So why don't you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, what you're working on, and how you can help them out?
I do mostly copywriting now. I still do like inbound marketing, content marketing, stuff like that. So if you want to learn more, Tell Meaningful Stories is the site, tellmeaningfulstories.com. My email is Micah@tellmeaningfulstories. It's pretty much the best way to get in touch with me. So, yeah, or Facebook, obviously. Micah Horner on Facebook.
Awesome. Dude, I really appreciate you being our first guest.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. I'll see you around.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for coming out, and thanks for everybody who was on the live stream and or is watching this after the fact. The support has been kind of outpouring, which has been awesome, and we will be back again next Thursday at 9 o'clock. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. See you.